before reading that quote, I would always try to practice self-love and self-respect. But for some reason, when somebody was absent from my life, it always impacted me way too much.
Because it feels like you're not enough. The people that you want so desperately to be in your life, when they're not there, it's kind of like, oh damn, I'm not worth it.
If you want to love yourself so much that nobody's absence bothers you, you need to love yourself so much that you're not doing it because you don't want anybody else's absence to bother you. You need to love yourself so much that you're doing it for you and you only.
You're gonna have to be the first person that fuck with you for you, because that's the only one you can control. It's not about trying to impress anybody or put your best foot forward to convince people to like you. Being good and being top tier and being that nigga, for lack of a better term, I was trying to find it. I couldn't be in that nigga. You feel me? It just makes you feel so much better about yourself. Even when niggas don't understand it, it ain't nothing wrong with me because they can't see it. Fuck these niggas, there's something wrong with them. Once you got that type of energy, bro, you're golden. What's going on YouTube? CDA Green here, back with another video, and today we have how to love yourself so much that nobody's absence bothers you. Now that title, it sticks out to me that if you love yourself enough, you're gonna be all you need in this world. You came into this world by yourself, you'll leave it by yourself. Therefore, you don't need nobody else. If you learn to love yourself, that is. Now, I have a lot to say about this topic, and I just love the idea of it, bro. Just learn to love yourself, that you're all you need. You know what I'm saying? Just your love is enough to fulfill you and satisfy you forever, bro. Like, that's perfect. So I have more that I want to say, but I'll wait until the video starts and we get a little further into it. But for now, if you like the video or it sounds interesting to you, make sure to like the vid, comment, and subscribe. Thank y'all for watching, and let's get straight into it.
This is a journal from high school where I wrote about how bad I wanted to change myself, to fit in with other people, to become more likable, and all of that really came from somebody else's absence. But I would like to think that I've gotten to a point where I've grown from that, and that's really all thanks to a few changes in my mentality that I've had. I honestly have a really hard time with anxious attachment. When someone that I care about or somebody that I just want to talk to is absent from my life for a period of time or maybe just a moment, it bothers me a lot. But I would genuinely say that I've gotten a lot better with that. And it's not because I'm some special person or because I was born with this weird sense of independence. No, it's really just because I've changed my perspective on a lot of things, and I've changed my mentality on it in general. And I read a quote a little while ago that said, "Love yourself so much that nobody's absence bothers you." And I won't lie, that honestly hit me really hard, especially because on this channel I try to preach a lot of self-love and self-respect. And I feel like for a little while I just haven't been taking my own advice. And before reading that quote, I would always try to practice self-love and self-respect. But for some reason, when somebody was absent from my life, it always impacted me way too much.
Because it feels like you're not enough. The people that you want so desperately to be in your life, when they're not there, it's kind of like, oh damn, I'm not worth it. You know what I mean? For me, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna be a joint, bro. Like a joint I'm trying to get at. Like, I show interest that I want her to be in my life, but she shows no interest back. Now I start determining my own self-worth based off the fact that she don't want to be in my life. You know what I mean? Because she don't see me as worthy, it means I'm not worthy, right? You start not even loving yourself. You looking at somebody else's potential interpretation of you to assign value to yourself. And that's just not healthy, bro, because everybody gonna have different opinions of you. You know what I'm saying? So which one do you believe? You feel me? You just gotta find the right person that fuck with you for you. But you gonna have to be the first person that fuck with you for you, because that's the only one you can control. There's no harm in loving yourself, bro. You know what I'm saying? At all. So learn to do it. I'm still learning to do it too. I'm telling myself that more so than y'all. But if y'all needed to hear that as well, then yes.
And it really wasn't until I read this quote out loud and I reflected on it that I realized I need to love myself so much that if somebody chooses to leave or chooses to be absent from my life for whatever reason, I'll be fine. No matter the situation, I'll be fine and comfortable in myself regardless. And going back to what I said at the beginning of this video, this is coming from somebody that was stressed out when he didn't get a text back, or stressed out when it seemed like somebody didn't like him, or just panic when somebody was absent from my life for any period of time. And obviously I hated that. I hated the fact that I wasn't comfortable enough in myself or comfortable enough alone to not stress out when somebody was absent from my life. But like I said, I've changed my mentality a lot. I feel like I've grown a lot as a person. So I went to share that change in mentality that got me to that point.
Okay. Maybe this is going to be the key, brother. I need this.
Try reflecting on a moment where somebody's absence really bothered you. And I can go first. I remember multiple times where I would get left on red, or I would get left on delivered by maybe a girl that I like, or maybe just a few friends that I had. I would get left on red, and I would genuinely question what was wrong with me. I would question what was it with me that made people not want to talk to me, or made people think that I was annoying, or just wanted to be absent from my life. And it got so bad to a point where I really wanted to change myself. I wanted to turn myself into a likable person. I wanted to turn myself into a completely different person. Like I even mentioned at the beginning of this video, I have this journal from high school where I really just wrote about wanting to change myself to become more likable by everybody in my life. And obviously I feel like I've grown from that. I don't think that I think the same way back then, but it's still remnants of that even currently today. Even now, currently, I would get the thought that I want to change myself to become a different person. And although it's not as bad as before, it still comes up for some reason. But it doesn't really impact me as much as it did back then. And I'm not saying any of this to pity myself, to make you feel bad for me. I'm truthfully just saying this just so you understand that I understand what it feels like to want to try to fit in with other people, or want to change yourself to become more likable. That entire concept of wanting to change myself so I can fit in with other people is really what brought me to self-growth and self-improvement to begin with. And I feel like that's what brings most people to self-growth. I feel like that's what brings most people to trying to improve themselves. It's really just so they can improve themselves for other people.
Yes.
Up until they realize that none of that ever necessarily works. I've talked about this a little bit on my channel before, but trying to grow yourself so you can become a different person for other people is never going to have you actually grow for yourself. More than likely, you're going to waste your time. You're not actually going to grow. And I feel like that's honestly the biggest change in mentality that we need. We need to grow for ourselves, not for other people. You need to learn how to love yourself so much, not so another person's absence doesn't bother you, but love yourself so much that you love yourself more than caring if somebody's absence actually bothers you or not.
That's perfect, bro. Perfect, my brother. I applaud you for saying that, and I appreciate you saying that quite simultaneously at the same time. You know, I was reading something in the book, right? And it said that life is not a competition. You know what I'm saying? When you see something that you perceive to be inferior about you to someone else, people might say, oh, nah, it is a competition. You know what I'm saying? Because sure, you want to improve yourself, but you know what I'm saying? At what expense? Like, who are you looking at? Who are you trying to be like? You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you seeing yourself as inferior to someone else. So now you're trying to improve to get more like them, right? And that's just not true. Like, this shit, it really isn't a competition. And then you might ask, then if I'm not comparing myself to them, who am I comparing myself to? And of course, you know what I'm saying? It might be unexpected, but don't compare yourself to other people, but compare yourself to your ideal self, right? I'm gonna say that again. Compare yourself not to other people, but to your ideal self, to the man that you want to be. You know what I'm saying? Not who else, everybody else that you see, the person that you yourself want to be. You know what I'm saying? Imagine yourself, imagine what would make you happy. You know what I'm saying? Imagine you already have everything you want. You're the guy you want to be. You got everything. You confident. Nigga, you on top of the world. How would he act? And try to mimic him. Make steps, actionable steps to get like that nigga that you see right there. But he's you though, so you're not even comparing yourself to nobody else. You really doing it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're not looking at what everybody else got going on and saying, oh, I want that. You know what I'm saying? You looking at what you yourself know that you have envisioned it. You know that you can get to that point. So you just gotta, you know what I'm saying, take steps to get to the version of you that you want to see. It ain't no competition. You doing it for yourself. You loving yourself. And just because you're improving to that point doesn't mean that you can't love yourself for what you are now. Because to want to improve suggests that what the current situation is not enough. Well, okay, you know what I'm saying? That can be true to an extent. You know what I'm saying? There's a change you got to make. But at the end of the day, it's still you. So you got to love yourself at any stage, bro. Just because you love yourself at a lesser stage or a stage that you want to grow out of doesn't mean that, you know what I'm saying, you're not worthy of love or the love is fake. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
The entire foundation for your self-growth journey, for loving yourself, is so you love yourself enough to forget another person. Then your entire foundation is flawed. And the second that something happens with that person, the second you think about that person, that entire foundation just crumbles down, it breaks, and it's like you're restarting all over again. You're trying to rebuild yourself back up from that flawed foundation. But a lot of us have already gotten ourselves into that position where we're doing this for for another person. We're trying to love ourselves enough for another person. And if that's your situation, I would honestly say that that's perfect, because now you're down here, right? You need to rebuild yourself back up, and you're going to actually do it the right way. The biggest change in mentality that I've had was wanting to do it for myself, growing for myself, loving myself for myself, and not connotating that with another person. Like, honestly, think about the reason why you clicked on this video: to grow yourself, to improve yourself, to become the best version of yourself. But is it for yourself, or was it for another person? Is it for other people so you can be deemed as more likable by another person? You shouldn't be loving yourself so you can forget about another person. You should be loving yourself because you genuinely want to love yourself. Like, for example, think about that one kid in school. It might have been you. It was definitely me. Think about that one kid in school that actually just hated reading books. They never read any of the English books. They never wanted to read in class. They never wanted to do.
Ain't that crazy? I just told y'all from a book I'm reading. My nigga, when I was in school, I hated reading at all. But it's like, you know what I mean? When you have a purpose from it and you're learning to grow, reading ain't that bad. But when you're just doing it for a book report, a random ass book report, that should be ass, my nigga, for sure.
Any of that. And then eventually, over time, they found passion in reading by themselves. The reason that I hated reading in school wasn't because I genuinely just despised reading. It was seriously just because it was for an assignment. It was because somebody else told me to read. I didn't want to do it for myself. It was for another person. So I never found a passion in it. Then over time, I started to read for myself. I started to read things that would help me grow, started reading things I was interested in, and then eventually I found a passion in reading. And it's not because I'm reading out of spite for another person, or because I feel like somebody else told me to read, so I have to read now. I'm genuinely reading because I love to read. I love to do it for myself. Another example is when I was younger, I hated to clean. I hated doing chores because it was just something that my parents told me to do. I wasn't passionate about cleaning. I didn't feel like cleaning at all. But now I also found a passion in that. I found a passion in cleaning, not because somebody told me to, because it was out of spite. I found a passion in cleaning because it was for my own growth. It was to keep my area clean, and it made me feel happy. If you want to love yourself so much that nobody's absence bothers you, you need to love yourself so much that you're not doing it because you don't want anybody else's absence to bother you. You need to love yourself so much that you're doing it for you and you only. If you go into your entire self-growth journey with the idea that you're going to be doing it so you forget about that person, at this point you're just connotating self-growth and self-improvement and becoming the best version of yourself. You're connotating that with another person, and then inevitably you're going to be remembering that person every single time you think about self-growth. So even if you have to fake it, even if you are doing it for another person, you better lie to yourself and tell yourself that you're doing it strictly for yourself. Because eventually, over time, you're going to start believing that, and eventually that's how you actually forget about that person. Never let another person have that much space in your mind. Never give another person that much power to know that you're improving yourself strictly for them. At this point, it's like I'm giving homework in all my videos, but I want you to ask yourself, why do I feel like I can't improve myself without thinking about another person? Why can't you love yourself for you? Why does it always rely on another person? Why does it always rely on your anxious attachment? I honestly want you to get to the root of the issue. Question, why can I not love myself enough to love myself for me? Why do I have to relay it to somebody else? I know for me, it came from me being an extrovert in a house full of introverts. So it seemed like growing up, I always needed attention. And I'm not blaming my family for that. I love my family. That's just the way it happened. It's nobody's fault. It's just something that I had to work through, and something that I definitely got better with over time. But eventually, when you know what that why is, you can focus on the what to do. And then you can focus on the how to do it, and when to do it, and where to do it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate y'all. Peace out.
Real ass nigga, man. Shout out to bro. Shout out to him. I think his name Ron. Real nigga, man. That was a great ass video, man, for sure. What I got out of it is, you know what I mean? You might start a self-improvement journey to, you know what I'm saying, kind of, at least for me, it's kind of like, oh, she ain't want me. Nigga, I'm a boss up, come back, now you gonna want me. Like, that's the bad way. That's not a good way to do it, because at the end of the day, you're still, like he said, obsessing over them old people. They still taking up space in your mind. And at the end of the day, you really shouldn't want anybody who don't want you. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, why would you? I don't even think I really even need to explain that part. But, yeah. You know what I mean? Why would you do that for someone else who don't even want to be in your life? You know what I'm saying? Because imagine you do all that bossing up and they still don't want you. Was all your efforts for naught? Was it for, you know what I'm saying, in vain? It wouldn't be if you truly did it for yourself, because now you're a better person. You know what I mean? It's not about like trying to impress anybody or put your best foot forward to convince people to like you. It's just to be the person that you want to be, you know what I'm saying? The person you see yourself as being, and really just being the best version of yourself for yourself, because being good and being top tier and being like a good ass person, solid ass dude, like that nigga, for lack of a better term, I was trying to find it. I couldn't be in that nigga. You feel me? It just makes you feel so much better about yourself. Even when niggas don't understand it, you got that self-love, that self-confidence. Oh, I'm still me. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing wrong with me because they can't see it. Fuck these niggas, there's something wrong with them type shit. You know what I'm saying? Once you got that type of energy, you know what I mean? And you really just being who you are just because that's what you want to do, bro, you're golden. You know what I'm saying? Even when you do get a rejection, you know what I'm saying? You already love yourself, so that shit not going to phase you. When them people is absent from your life, it's not going to phase you because you already know who you are, you know your worth, and you know you that nigga. So yeah, bro, if this video made any sense to y'all and it encouraged y'all to want to love yourself so much that nobody's absence ever bothers you, then make sure to like the video, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate y'all watching. I appreciate my nigga for making a vid, bro. And it just helps me hearing these things, bro. It's just a very healthy habit, you know what I'm saying? Like surrounding myself with this positivity and shit. Like he said, even when you lying to yourself, if you surround yourself with them lies long enough, you gonna start to believe it. You know what I mean? You might gotta unwire the old shit, the old things that you told yourself that might lead you to feel or think a certain way. If you just listen to this long enough, you gonna start believing this. So yeah, you know, keep telling yourself them positive lies, be a little delusional, you know what I'm saying, until that's your real reality. Fake it till you make it, in a way. So yeah, thank y'all for watching the video. Like I said, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I appreciate y'all watching. Until next time, I'll catch y'all later. Love y'all. Peace.